Well, we are in the second week of excavations here at Nimrud in northern Iraq, and I thought I would take us on a tour of the Ishtar Sharrat Niphi temple. We're outside the east entrance right now, and you can see behind me the tarps that cover the broken lamassu, the bulls, winged bulls that were flanking the gateway. Well, we know that ISIS, so-called Islamic State, destroyed a whole lot of Nimrud. They didn't put barrel bombs in this particular area, but they did very nearby in the Northwest Palace, and that caused a lot of damage. Well, the Smithsonian has been marking where all of the reliefs that were in the Northwest Temple, the Northwest Palace, where they landed, to talk about just how big the explosion was. They've been marking those down and trying to protect them. We're now helping with that and also digging down, and we're finding more pieces of it that washed in. So throughout the first week, pretty much what we were doing was clearing away debris and soil wash that happened since ISIS was overthrown. And that would have been in 2017. About 2015 or so was when they blew up the Northwest Palace. They destroyed a lot here. It was a publicity stunt for them, but they were also digging around in here to try to get antiquities to sell on the market to help fund their activities. Well, this temple has been explored a few times, and long before ISIS. So in the 1840s and 1850s, Austin Henry Layard was here, but he only dug 3 rooms, the ones that are now behind me. We're going in towards the north into, well, what we're standing in is a very large courtyard. It's about 24 meters by about 20 meters. That's enormous. I'm used to digging 10 by 10 meter units, and this thing is much larger than that. Well, as you go out of the north portion of the courtyard, you go into what's called the cella. The cella is also sometimes called the Holy of Holies. It's where the statue of the goddess would have been. And so this is where you would go to actually do the worship or to see the representations. There are 2 rooms that flank it. I'm not quite sure what was in there. Layard didn't say a whole lot about them. They should be things like storage rooms for maybe sacred objects or archives, but he didn't report much of that I know of. Well, the courtyard itself, Layard didn't touch. Rassam was here as well, but I don't think he dug in here. This was dug out by Muzahim Hussein and the State Board of Antiquities and Heritage in Iraq. They worked here at Nimrud from 1989 until 2002. And late in that period, they started working here in the Sharrat Niphi temple. They also started to reconstruct some of the walls. So when we see baked brick around here, this is stuff that Muzahim Hussein put in. So I'm going to show some of that now. It's right down in this area. We can see paved flooring, and we can see baked brick walls. Well, those are the reconstructed walls. We are looking for the original wall lines where we can find them, and to talk about what this building looked like and make sure that the reconstruction was correct, because what we want to do eventually is build it back up, reconstruct it again, and make this into a good tourist site. But in order to do that, we really need to understand the building. We need to know what it was like in the ancient time. And I know that Muzahim Hussein was trying to do that too, but he was in a little bit of a rush, and so he left all of this soil, for instance, behind me, right in the middle of the courtyard. And this is all good original context, although it's surface up top. We're starting to dig that so that we can get down to floor deposits on the original temple floor, or at least the courtyard floor. And that's going to tell us a lot about how this place was used, or at least we hope it will. So we've been trenching along the walls to find that. We're going to bring all of this down, and we're going to get the original flooring of the courtyard, and then we're going to see what's out to the west. Now we know there is another temple. We also know there's the remains of a ziggurat, sort of behind me, a thing that just looks like a big hill. Well, it used to be bigger. ISIS took a bulldozer up there and started cutting it away. They wanted to try to destroy the past in order to create their version of the future. And this is a really bad thing. We need to know about our past and our history. We all need to share in that. But they wanted to try to control it. And that's why this needs to be rebuilt. We need to show that what they did was wrong. And what we need to do is all identify with our joined past. This is all the history of humanity, really. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. It's going to take a long time. We're in the stages now where we understand this building, or try to understand it, and then we're going to rebuild. Now I'm traipsing through some more of our dirt. We got down to the floor in this passage. I still have the big area of original context here that we're digging down. We've just started that. But I'm going to come out into an area here that was a pit dug by ISIS with a bulldozer or a front-end loader or something like that. They came in from this path. So a lot of that dirt that Hussein left, it used to be straight across. Well, the dozer came through, cut down, came down at an angle, and cut into the original flooring here in this western gate. So this gate should have been going off towards the Ninurta temple. And we've got some dirt covering over here, but we can see some of the original threshold blocks. So they've got giant stone blocks in here. And there used to be 2 miniature bowls flanking the gate. Those went off to the museum when Hussein was digging here. We should have a monumental gateway here, possibly more winged bulls that are protectors of the gateways. We expect a big gateway here. We're cleaning up all of this. We've gotten rid of most of the debris. We're going to keep looking, and we're going to find some original Neo-Assyrian contexts to understand the building even more. It's week 3 here at Nimrud, and we are through clearing away the ISIS debris. We're in a kind of double gate chamber. They destroyed a lot of it, but we're now expanding and finding out more about what they didn't destroy and learning a lot about the interface between the Ishtar Temple and the Ninurta Temple. This temple burned. It was burned in 612 BCE, and the doors were made of cedar, and they had copper door bands on them, and those burned. And when they burned hot, and they collapsed. And so we find door nails throughout this soil, and we find that some of that copper actually fused to the door sill so that you can still see copper staining, green color right along this edge. Right now, this is all simply dirt from where we're clearing other things. We've already excavated this and we've looked at it more clearly. I just thought that I would clean off a little bit of it to show you. And there are a whole lot of us working at this, but right now it's kind of break time. And the only time that I get a chance to actually do some filming. Well, it's getting hot here in mid-April. Got a lot of gnats around. My hat is starting to get broken in. The bandana helps sometimes to wrap around my face to keep the gnats away. But it's been a really good season. We've still got another week to go. I'll report on it again soon. See you then.